All right. Look, I'm sorry to put you through this again, but I was listening to Terry Carter and he did a video called "Is the Baritone Ukulele Right for You?" And at the end of the video, he said something that he was confused about. He talked about, well, maybe if you wanted to do this or maybe if you wanted to do that. And I'm thinking, Terry, you should know this. I understand you're trying to sell a product, but be honest with the people about what. And he did the same thing with the Guitalele too, because I understand he's trying to cover all the corners because he's trying to sell a product. I understand that, but both the baritone and the Guitalele, their main purpose, okay, both these instruments right here, the 6-string Guitalele as well as the baritone ukulele, have the same purpose. Go ahead, say it. It is to accompaniment the tenor ukulele. That's what they're really for. Okay? Now, that's the first reason that these instruments are made. Do I need to go and talk to the Hawaiians that came up with the idea and get them to send me a letter and help me do a video about it? I could do that if you want. But the truth of the matter is, people who play these instruments and spend some time with them automatically know. The Hawaiians know. The people that have put their endorsement on these two instruments know what they're for. They're not the new product. I mean, they could be. Don't get me wrong. In fact, I do believe that there are more people that play the baritone because it's tuned like a guitar, the first 4 strings, that is. They get into it for that. And a lot of times when they do that, however, it gets left in the closet or left in the basement, okay, or something, because if you really, really love the guitar that much and you love the guitar acoustically, you're not going to play that much baritone. 6 strings, like I said in the last video, is 6 strings. And the guitar doesn't really need an accompaniment unless it's a keyboard or, if it's an acoustic guitar, it could use a keyboard, it could use a mandolin, and it could use either electric bass or acoustic bass, either one, depending on the style and play. But when you're in a ukulele band, these are the kind of instruments that are in the band. Usually the tenor, and don't get me wrong, you look at the ukulele orchestra, people like that, you see maybe one baritone player in the whole group who's playing a baritone ukulele, and you don't see none of this at all. But you see a baritone player in there, you see a soprano, you see a concert, you see a tenor. Those 3 instruments, different people play one or the other, and some of the people, they keep switching off between 2 of them. If you ever watch the ukulele orchestra, they're a bunch of middle-aged people that I love to watch, because when they do popular songs that everybody knows, when they do Beatles tunes or they do a Jimi Hendrix tune or whatever they might do, they make it sound so fresh and so new, like a new thing. And these people are very skilled. To be middle-aged people who sit there and they're all playing in harmony together, they're so skilled, okay? But they have the right idea. You can play ukuleles back to back. You can play two tenors together, a tenor, a soprano, and a concert, whatever way you want to do it, as long as everybody's playing on time and in key. Sure, you can do that, but these two instruments right here were made mainly for the band. They weren't really made to be solo instruments, although they could. And this instrument right here, the baritone, is a good instrument to start or finish and play accompaniments if you're going to play with a tenor uke. I think if you are playing in a band with a soprano or a tenor, the soprano or tenor would lead the band. It would be the leader, and then this baritone would accompaniment, and this would also accompaniment. Now, the reason why, like, for example, Tamani Gardner, she has a guitar player accompaniment her. But you could vary just as well, and that's what this was for. This guitalele and this baritone were really made to accompany the band. Okay? Now, the baritone both of these instruments can be played by themselves. But what was their main purpose for? Their main purpose, if you ask somebody that has been around and watched the genre grow, he or she will tell you these were made for the band to accompany the ukulele, period. You have your tenor, you have your soprano, your concert, and they're doing their thing, but they don't have bass lines in that genre, and you also don't have the deep tone. You don't have the deep tone. You don't have bass lines. You don't have deep tone in the background, and you don't have bass lines. Now, because both of these are ukulele, this is a ukulele and a guitar hybrid. Okay? This is a ukulele in a guitar tuning. It's in a different key. This is a ukulele in guitar tuning for a reason. This is a ukulele in standard guitar tuning for a reason. This is a guitalele in standard ukulele tuning with the two additional bass strings for a reason. And that reason is, Terry Carter, oh my God, brother, get right. It's for the accompaniment of the band. Now, sure, you can play them alone. I'm not in a band. I haven't been in a band for a while. I can play both these instruments alone just fine. I love doing that. But what I want to see is more like what Bosco and Honey is doing, where his wife plays the baritone and he's playing the concert. What I want to see more of is the Daniel Ho and Herb Otta thing, where one is playing the ukulele, the other one's playing the guitalele. Then you got some guy in the background, playing an acoustic ukulele bass. Okay, and you got, congos and quintos and that kind of stuff playing the percussion for you and that kind of thing. That's what I want to see. And that's what these two instruments were played for. That's what they're for. They're for the band. You can play them alone, but they are actually for the band. Just imagine you're playing let's just imagine a 5-piece ukulele band. No guitars. 5-piece ukulele band. You have two guys playing tenors, and they're playing different things than each other. One's accompanying the other. Okay? You have the baritone. Okay? and you have the guy playing. There might be 6. You got a guy playing bass, and you got a guy playing percussion, soft percussion. That is a beautiful band setup. What a beautiful band setup that would be. Or you could have 1 or 2 ukuleles. This guy here playing roots for you and playing accompaniment for you as well, playing even licks for you. Really, really making it sound like there's a guitar in the background. You got this guy and 1 or 2 ukes. With this guy, you might not need more than 1. And you're going to have your bass player and you're going to have your percussion. And usually when you play ukulele, you don't have a keyboard player playing in the background. That might drown out the ukulele. And you usually don't have, another thing, you usually don't have guitars and electric guitars and keyboard players in a ukulele band. If that happens, then that means that the guitar or the keyboards would be the leaders of the band, and these instruments, including any other ukulele or guitar or whatever, would be the backup of the band. Okay? But that is the image here. That is what these instruments were made for. They were made for the band. Whether you want to lead with the baritone and a tenor, play leads behind the baritone, okay? Or the tenor is playing a whole bunch of different things and this is playing roots and more fulfilled chords in the background. Or this. You got like a guitar in the background where also they fit too is, let's say you are a ukulele player and you don't have a good band behind you, then that's where these come in as solo instruments. Either one of these could play the full song set, because this is this is regular guitar tuning. If an acoustic can play a full song set all by itself, so can a baritone, okay? And so can this. If an acoustic guitar can play a full song set by itself, so can this. So can a guitalele. Okay? That's what these are for. They can play by themselves with no help. There are people out there that play the baritone. They never play any other ukulele. They don't play no guitar. They don't play nothing but this. Same thing with this. There are people who play this. Well, I take it back. With this, however, most people that play one of these also play a ukulele, usually a tenor. And most people that play this also play guitar. They play tenor, ukulele, and they play guitar. Okay? This, I've seen people switch from tenor to this, and this is all they play. This is the only instrument they play. Okay? But both of these instruments are for the band. You can play them, by themselves, but my God, if you could just put them in the band, you would be totally amazed how good that band sounds. Either one of these. Okay? This one here, you're going to put some guitar skills in the background and play this, whether you want to play some lead notes and fill-ins and riffs, or just have those, all those all six strings playing in the background to accompaniment the 4 strings in the front. Okay? This here, the deep tone in the background, the roots, giving the song a more mellowed out sound, putting in riffs and fill-ins and chords that make the song sound more fuller and so forth like that. I mean, you can play a wonderful tune with a ukulele, but if you got one of these playing in the background, you got yourself a song. That's a song. Any song. If you're playing a tenor and you got one of these two babies playing in the background, I'm telling you, you ain't never heard nothing prettier. Let me say that one more time. If you got a soprano, a tenor, or a concert leading a song set, and you got one of these two in the background. Now, could you play these together? Yes, that would mean that you're more creative. This would play the ukulele part, or behind the ukulele, if the ukulele is there as well. And this would play behind the two of them to give, that smoother, deeper, melodic sound. Okay? But that's what these are for. These guys getting on here trying to sell a product. Terry Carter and many others that don't tell you about the baritone. Again, the baritone, 4 strings or 4 strings, 6 strings or 6 strings. Okay? This might make you want to play a bigger guitar, and a bigger guitar might make you want to play these if you don't understand where you stand with the ukulele, if you're not a 4-string person. This might make you want to go down and even go smaller and play a tenor, but this does not really make you want to play guitar. Okay? Unless you're playing this and you watch enough guitar players and you've experimented with the guitar, and when you play this you feel like there's something missing because there's 2 strings that ain't here. But you would have to practice a guitar to know that. Most people that already play guitar, okay, if they already play a guitar and they play this, then this becomes very, very special, because now they understand the 4-string genre and what you're going to do with 4 strings and how to be creative with them 4 strings. They're going to work a little bit harder with this instrument, as well as maybe not so hard, being the chords are going to be easier. But the point is, these 2 instruments were made for the band. The baritone ukulele and the guitalele were made for the band. That's what the producers of these instruments made them for. Why? Because they understand that the tenor uke, if that's in the lead, as you get further into pop music, okay, they understand that there's tone missing. And even though some people could listen to one person play a tenor in a concert and he could do a whole hour of songs just with his tenor alone and nothing else. But when you start adding other instruments to the band, when you start adding drums or congos or whatever you call that box thing that they smack on. I don't know what that instrument is called. Or like that Akai drum thing that I showed you before Christmas. I have one here that I got from one of my grandboys. Okay? You go to playing that. Okay? What other instruments are going to be in the band? And the reason why this is made for the band, because when a person plays a ukulele, with the exception of Tamani Gardner, when a person plays a ukulele, he comes from people, he's going to jam with people to play the ukulele. Okay, so one of the guys, either Herb Otta or Daniel Ho, whichever one it is, one of them plays the guitalele. How much you want to bet? And I've seen him in action. He plays both the ukulele and the guitalele. But because he plays with the other guy, they tour together, he plays the guitalele. Because probably in his mind, with the two of them touring together, and there's no guitar player, and a lot of times not even really a bass player when they go play together, he figures something like this would be suitable to make their songs sound really, really fascinating. Okay? And both of these, even though you look at YouTube, people are doing some wonderful and wild stuff with these two instruments, all by them solo self. But these were made. The original thought, I can tell, I'll bet you my pinky, okay? The original thought was to make these for the band. Because ukulele players really don't care about sounding like guitar players. Okay? Ukulele players don't really care about sounding like guitar players. But when you go to playing more popular styles of music that have already used the guitar as their number one instrument, and you're going to get on the ukulele and sound better, or sound more embellished, I should say, you're going to need something other than the ukulele by itself to compete. That's where these two instruments come in. And all guitar players, when they're out there jamming, they jam in a band. So the ukulele, being a smaller instrument with only 4 strings, definitely has to play with the band. That's what these instruments, these two wonderful pieces of work right here, were made for. They were made for the band. Okay? So when you sell a product, because nobody ever says it. Nobody, I've seen 100 people, including people that sell these two instruments, never say that. These two instruments were made as accompaniment instruments to back up the ukulele. What is the ukulele? The ukulele is actually tenor down to soprano. The baritone came later as a backup to tenor to soprano. Not only is it the biggest of the ukuleles, it is the newest. Okay? It was not made for guitar players. It was made to back up the genre that's already going on that we naturally call ukulele music. It was to back up ukulele music, to make ukulele music sound more melodic and popular. Okay? Like the music they're trying to imitate. Okay? This here was made for ukulele players that want accompaniment themselves, if need be. Okay? Because they don't have a band. But if they have a band, better yet, please accompaniment yourself with one of these in the band. Because all the things that you do with 4 strings that you ain't going to do with 6 strings is just as important as what you would do with 6 strings. And just like guitars are always in bands, so the ukulele genre needs to be in bands too. That's what these two instruments were made for. They were not made for the baritone wasn't made for guitar players. It was made to put a guitar sound behind the regular ukulele. Okay? Or to put that guitar tuning to suffice and support the ukulele, the regular ukulele. Same thing with this. This was made to give the ukulele more options in the background. More options of notes, as well as a ukulele player might want to switch to this. Okay? See, the baritone player is the baritone player. That's his thing. The baritone player in most cases would be the baritone player. But other than what I've already said, this instrument here, the guitalele, is so that the ukulele player, and if you've seen people like Aldrin with Ukulele Underground talk about the guitalele and him demonstrating the guitalele, and he demonstrates this more than he demonstrates the baritone. He did a workshop on the baritone, but he's done out of nowhere just pulled this out and started to do different songs. He had explained to you he's doing something different today. But ukulele players can hire a baritone player to be in the band to play backup for them in the band. Okay? A ukulele player may switch off on certain songs and play this instrument, being this is tenor, and most people that travel and play, all the pros play tenors. Even though they can play soprano in concert just as well, they all play tenors. Well, this is a tenor with 2 extra strings added. So ukulele players, without having to work very hard to really learn, it's not like they got to take guitar lessons to play this. Okay? You thought that's no, because this is more closer to a guitar than this is. This is tuned totally different. This is tuned just like a tenor ukulele with the extra A and D string. Okay? This is tuned 5 frets down from your standard ukulele. So, a lot of the ukulele players that are playing out there and they're in a small band or they're playing their own thing without any help, they may switch off to this, whether they're in a band or not. They might switch off to this and play certain songs that they've always played because these 2 extra strings, these 2 bass strings right here, gives them a different range, gives them more range and feel, and they can do more with the song if they practice it. Okay? But more ukulele players are playing the guitalele than guitar players are playing the guitalele. Okay? As well as there's more ukulele players playing the baritone than there are guitar players playing the baritone. More guitar players will experiment with this before they experiment with this. Okay? You understand what I'm saying? And all these people trying to sell a product, but they never say the fact that these 2 instruments were created for the band, so that ukulele players don't have to go and learn guitar in order to accompaniment themselves. They don't have to go and take guitar lessons to accompaniment themselves. They don't have to step outside the ukulele genre to accompaniment themselves. They don't have to lose any sound to the guitar. Okay? They don't have to give the show to guitar players when they want to be in a band. You have instruments like these 2 that can play with the band, and you have a full band set without the need or use of the guitar. That's what these were made for. That's what this tuning is made for, and that's what this 6-string Guitalele is made for. Okay? Alright. Thank you for watching. I saw another Terry Carter video right behind the screen here, and I'm like, Terry, you seem like you're making this up as you go along. The instrument was made to back up. That's what they're really made for. They're made to back up they're made to back up this. They're made to back up this. That's what they're made for. In a band setting. Just imagine, again, this playing in front of this, and this. Just imagine this playing in front of this. Imagine this playing behind this. Daniel Ho and Herb Otta. Look them up. Look up Daniel Ho and Herb Otta. One of them plays this, and the other one plays this. And they sound amazing. And sometimes he starts off a song, and most of the time he starts off a song, and he backs him up. That's what these were made for. Okay? So, and that's also what the baritone was made for. That's the real reason. That's where they actually fit. Now you can play them alone, but that is actually where they fit. They fit in the band perfectly. Okay? I think those Sons of Anarchy, Sons of Anarchy, if that's the name of the band, or Anarchy on the ukulele. I did a video the other day. I put them in the comment section, I think, or I put them in the description, because something he was doing a review of the Guitalele, and he did the same thing Terry Carter just did. He's not saying where the Guitalele fits. He's just talking about, oh, well, it doesn't sound like a guitar. It doesn't sound like a ukulele. It's not supposed to. You know what I mean? My God, you know. But they're a beautiful band. Matter of fact, one of them in the band plays a baritone. There's like 2 tenor players and a baritone player. And there's a guy that's playing some kind of drum thing, and there's an electric bass player. There's about 2 or 3 ukuleles in there. I don't think anybody plays Guitalele in the band. That's why he didn't know how to review it. But I think there is a baritone player in the band, I'm pretty sure. And Bosco and Honey plays baritone sometimes to accompaniment Bosco. This is where these instruments fit. This is what makes songs sound amazing, when you put these 2 instruments in the band where they actually belong. That's what they were designed for, to be in the band. That's what they were designed for. And whether you play solo on these, okay, or whether you just play accompaniment riffs and chords on these, or whatever you do for other songs, for other people or whatever, they really shine. If I use my imagination, they really, really shine in the band. You can use them any way you want to, but they were both designed for ukulele players in the band. They're not designed for guitars. They're not hybrids from the guitar to the ukulele and back, and forward or backwards, however that goes. They are made to accompaniment the regular ukulele. Okay? Tenor, concert, or soprano. Okay? Alright? They're made to accompany this baby. This only has 4 strings, and especially when you have this high G string, okay? Which on mine it's a low G. Okay, I got my concert over there, and I also have this one here, high G. But when you have this low G, okay, it's a little bit warmer. So it sounds fuller, warmer, and it seems like I might have more range. But in most regular ukulele playing, and most of the pros play with the high G instead of the low G. They keep the low G on there. Some of us people that are guitar players, we go to trying to play praise and worship with the tenor. We might want to put a low G on there, but all the pros still continue to leave it at high G because they're afraid that if they move that high G, it'll sound like a guitar, and that's not true. Even more so than the baritone, you put the low G on here, okay, you still have, you know, here's the low G. Okay, it still sounds like a ukulele even with the low G. Therefore, these other 2 instruments that have more strings and a lower range are perfect accompaniments on a band scale to supplement this instrument, giving you a full band. Why should everybody in the band be playing the same instrument? And why should everybody in the band be playing the same tuning? Okay? In any band, you play different instruments. Okay? When you play the baritone in the guitalele, you're staying within the ukulele genre. You're not leaving the genre. Okay? You're staying within the genre. When you add guitars, regular guitars, then you're mixing genres. But when you keep it baritone and keep it guitalele, you are staying within the genre. The baritone only has 4 strings, that stays in the genre. The guitalele is tuned like a tenor, that stays in the genre. But playing the chords, it's all about, and you can even play these 2 together in the band. Of course, I think the baritone would have to be very, very creative against the guitalele in the band because they both have strings that take it down several registers. Okay, well, down 5 registers. Okay, because the low A string and the low D string on the guitalele, okay, are going to take the sound down even further than where the baritone is starting at. Okay, so the baritone would have to be very, very creative to keep up with the guitalele in a band. But however, let's say you use one or the other. You use the baritone in the band. That would be the most melodic thing you've ever heard, playing behind the tenor. If you use the guitalele in the band, that would be like really, really not only a deep tone, but it would be more of a more popish, heavy sound playing in the background, unless you're playing something really like classical or something like that. But if you play something with a strum to it, okay, it's going to really add root and it's going to add a guitar sound to the background. Okay, but the difference between the Guitalele and Tamani Gardner's guitar backup player is you can do whatever you want to do on the Guitalele because it's a hybrid ukulele. See? On a guitar, you can't do that. You got to play one thing so that you don't drown out the ukulele. Because if she gets up there and plays behind Tamani Gardner's and plays it like people play acoustic guitars, she's going to drown Tamani out. And it's not going to sound like ukulele music. It's going to sound like something else. But with the Guitalele, because of the way it's tuned and because of its register of sound, you can play what you need to play in the background. You can play soft or hard, and you can play chords just the way you need to play them. And you're not going to use that. You're not going to mess with that ukulele genre. You're not going to misuse it. It's going to be still a ukulele concert. You see what I'm saying? So, without making a long video, it's already too long. But people doing reviews on stuff when I'm sitting here playing all these instruments kind of gets to me sometimes because you're not saying what people need to hear. People see a ukulele and they're like, okay, well, this one's got 4 strings. That one's got 6. Well, that's not a ukulele then, ma'am. Well, this one is deeper sounding. Okay. Do you want the deeper sound? Or do you want them both like I do? I have them both. I have a reason to play them both. Okay. Play the deeper sound for a while and see if it's where you want to be. There's a lot of people that buy the baritone just to have it because it's a ukulele, and they found out, especially when it comes to playing by themselves, they just rather be tenor because the tenor, they are more creative on the tenor than they are the baritone. To them, the baritone sounds like too much of a guitar. Okay? But when it comes to the Guitalele, people will force themselves to become creative because nobody wants to think that they don't have what it takes to play 6 strings. So there you have it, folks. I'm not going to hold you long. Thank you for watching. Had to spit that out because it gets to me. People selling a product and they're giving you misinformation. They're not giving you the information that should be the first thing that comes out of your mouth. What is this instrument for? It's for the band. That's what the baritone and the Guitalele are for. They are for, you just had to fall, didn't you? Thank God I got carpet on the floor. They are for the band. You can play them by themselves, but they are for the band. Thank you for watching. God bless.